Good morning, everyone. Thanks for logging in with us today as we prepare for our second annual Sumter County Legislative Update. Thank you all for joining us. We have a full schedule this morning. There is no better place to be than Southwest Georgia and Sumter County on today. Now we will have our greeting from our CEO of our Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Mandy Reeves Young, followed by invocation by Deacon Geraldine Nelson of the Sumter Area Ministerial Association. Mandy?
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. This is not my normal voice. I have been struggling with a little viral infection for the past week, so glad you all could be on here. I'm not going to continue to suffer, make everybody else suffer with my scratchiness, but glad you could all be here. Thankful for the turnout, and we look forward to the update.
Geraldine.
Good morning. Let us pray. Almighty God, may each person here today receive a special blessing as we work together in this Sumter County, Southwest Georgia community. We are especially grateful for our great leaders here today. Please bless and protect each one as they serve our community and as our beautiful state of Georgia thrives. And Lord, may our abilities measure up to the issues before us this morning. Help us to be thorough in our investigations and factual in our presentations. Give us insight, discernment without distortion, or discrimination and fairness without favoritism. May we cultivate empathy between us and see that small decisions may have far-reaching effects and are of great consequence to some, especially to the poor, the persecuted, the sick, and all who suffer, so that we hold and honor them with our love and care. Give us strength to stand tall, even if alone, for it is better to fail in something right than to win in something wrong. And finally, Lord God, I ask that you guide this nation and our people into the way of justice and truth, and establish between us that peace which is the fruit of your righteousness, so that in your good time we are all enabled to stand reconciled before you in the kingdom of God. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mandy, for the greeting, and thank you, Deacon Geraldine, for that wonderful invocation. Now we're ready to move forward inside of our program for today. So next up, you have the opportunity to hear from Dr. Leslie Hazel-Bussey. For those of you that are not aware, we have a collaboration here in Sumter County. Everyone else around the nation will love to be like us. We have a former facilitator, and you're going to hear from Dr. Leslie Hazel-Bussey at this time. Leslie?
Good morning, y'all. I bring greetings from Peachtree City, Georgia. I am coaching a team at GLISI, Georgia Leadership Institute for School Improvements Base Camp and Leadership Summit event from Morgan County. But my heart is there in Americus with you all, and I'm so grateful to have an opportunity to open this important gathering with a reminder of work that's been going on underway in Sumter County across the community for now 2 or 3 years. And I come to simply share and remind, there are so many faces on this call and names that are dear and familiar, but we have, through this series of gatherings, come together to articulate a purpose for Sumter Strong. This is not a formal entity, but it is a voluntary leadership movement. And that statement of purpose is to bring leaders and stakeholders together across the county, not just in Americus, but in every single municipality in Sumter, to take action on community identified challenges in a neutral, turfless problem solving space. And we articulated 4 ways that Sumter Strong as an entity would aim to do this over time. One is to promote unity across institutions and agencies. That's inclusive of our municipal agencies, it's inclusive of our education entities, both private and public, both K-12 and higher education, early childhood. The second way is to accelerate and celebrate progress on community identified challenges. There are so many successes and great things going on across the county. Many things get amplified on social media that are not the successes. And Sumter Strong is here to ensure that we're able to shine a light on and illuminate those things that are going on in all corners of the county that are worthy of celebration and accelerating and maybe looking at how we might scale them in other parts of the county. The third purpose is to routinize goal-oriented, cross-sector, data-driven collaboration. That's the stage we're really working to enable now, is to begin gathering data on how are we doing on community identified challenges, and how can we build in some routines so that we can share those data together across sectors. And finally, to plan for leadership succession, understanding that we have a strong core of young people coming up across all different types of leadership roles, and ensuring that that handing of the baton over from one leader to the next is as seamless and smooth as possible, to ensure that that progress that we're aiming toward and those goals that the community has identified remain at the center. So I'm grateful to be part of this work, and I'm so grateful to be able to tell this story of Sumter County, not only here, but in other settings. And you're right, Tammy. So many people across the state and across the country are very envious and are interested in trying to replicate this work.
Thank you, Leslie. And just want to share again to everyone, on behalf of the Sumter County Chamber of Commerce, One Sumter Economic Development Foundation, and Sumter Strong, which is comprised of all of our elected officials from our 5 municipalities, our Board of Commissioners, our educators, our university, our local technical college, all of our schools in Sumter County, and all of our entities, which include nonprofits. We say to each one of you all, welcome and thank you again for joining us. And at this time, we're going to transition and allow you to meet our lobbyist for the greater Sumter County, and his name is Mr. John Crawford. And John, at this time, you can take it away.
Thank you, Tammy. Good morning, everybody. Many of you I have met in person, but for those of you that I have not, my name is John Crawford. I'm the principal with Coleman Talley Strategies. We are the government affairs lobbying arm of Coleman Talley LLP, which is a law firm that was founded 89 years ago in Valdosta. And we serve a great portion of southern Georgia with legal services. And about 4 years ago, Coleman Talley recognized that there really was a void in terms of governmental affairs representation, particularly for entities in South Georgia. And so we established Coleman Talley Strategies. I come to the role after a 26-year career in higher education, almost 15 of those in the university system of Georgia, where I was a fundraiser and an external affairs person who dealt with anything that was external facing to the institutions that I served, including government affairs. So I've got a long history with the Georgia General Assembly, with the Georgia congressional delegation, and we're very proud to represent the greater, what we call in our office, the greater Sumter County community and the stakeholders involved. A little bit about what our role is, and then I'll get to some specifics. our role is to facilitate relationships when you boil it down. Our job is to be a very much behind the scenes communicator and conveyor of information from our stakeholders to our elected officials and government agencies, and to bring information back from our elected officials and state and federal agencies back to our stakeholders to try to make sure that there's always an open, honest dialogue happening, sometimes behind the scenes, so that the greater good of the community is always advanced. And our stakeholder groups, we convene every summer and we come up with what we refer to as a legislative agenda for the greater Sumter County community. My role is not to get involved in issues that are divisive or that only one or maybe two of our stakeholders embrace and maybe some of our other stakeholders would not embrace. I steer clear of those, but where we can reach some consensus on what's good for our community, we embrace those, lean into those, make sure that we're communicating those, and I'm going to go over some of those for our upcoming legislative year, and then talk a little bit about some of the things that the community has been able to enjoy over the last couple of years, where we think we've been helpful. Certainly not taking credit for the hard work of others, but where we've been helpful, we'll talk about that. But moving forward, over the next legislative session and in the next congressional term, there's some issues that are important to the community where we think we can be successful. The first is 911 funding. And if you don't know, the state's 911 system, and hopefully none of us need the 911 system, but that's one of those government functions that when we need it, we sure want it to work correctly. And our 911 system is funded. If you don't know this, next time you get your phone bill, if you'll look on your phone bill, you'll see a universal service fee. I think it's $1.70. That universal service fee was established, I believe, in 1977, and it's been the exact same amount of money since 1977. What that universal service fee does is it funds our statewide 911 system, the Georgia Emergency Communications system, and it's not been upgraded in quite some time. And so we would like to be part of a larger group of people, organizations that will be pursuing an increase to that universal fee, so that our 911 system can be modernized, so that it can function more efficiently and serve the citizens of Georgia. I know that's a concern of the local police, the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Everybody in Sumter County benefits from that service. So that's one of the things that might not sound sexy, you might not think about, but it's really important, and it's one of those greater good things, and that's how it gets funded, and that funding is not increased since 1977. Something else is very important to the community, and really all communities, is transportation infrastructure. That's to make sure that the Georgia Department of Transportation is moving along projects of importance all across the county and in municipalities. This past year, I will tell you, I was part of a group that helped to lobby our local transportation dollars. It's referred to as LMEG. Over the last couple of years, those dollars have almost doubled as a result of several different moving pieces of legislation that had to do, I don't know if you're familiar or heard about an issue dealing with truck weights. The serviceable load of heavy trucks in Georgia was allowed to increase. And in exchange for allowing that load limit to increase, the General Assembly also increased the amount of local funding for roads and bridges, so that the extra strain of that increased load weight could be covered with local transportation dollars. So we reached a deal to permanently increase the increased load of the heavy trucks, but at the same time, we've also reached a deal to permanently increase the amount of local transportation dollars. So that's a good thing, and we will continue to look for opportunities like that as we move forward, and where the county might have projects in the pipeline with the Department of Transportation. Part of what we'll do is have quiet conversations with GDOT just to make sure that those projects are moving along. And if there are hurdles that need to be overcome with local matches or questions or concerns concern from GDOT. If we can play a role in facilitating that conversation, we're certainly happy to do that. Another issue that's important to many communities across the entire state of Georgia, but particularly in South Georgia, is workforce housing and the access to affordable housing for workforce. Workforce economic development and workforce housing go hand in glove. So we have looked for opportunities to facilitate conversations between the Department of Community Affairs and DCA and all of their housing opportunities. And I think there's some good things in the pipeline for the county. We also keep our eyes open to anything that might develop at HUD, the Federal Home Loan Bank, anything that we can then bring back to leaders in Sumter County and say, hey, here's something we've discovered. Have you looked into that? I know that Tammy in particular and the folks over at One Sumter have been able to attend a couple of webinars and a couple of regional meetings about housing opportunities that I feel like maybe Coleman Talley Strategies played a role in bringing to their attention. And we're happy to do those kinds of things. Another issue that's facing many communities across the state, and certainly the greater Sumter County community is no different, is community mental health. We are actively engaged with the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities to look for ways that community health initiatives can be expanded or even maybe brought to the county. Believe it or not, that's a huge issue for law enforcement. In many small counties across Georgia, mental health issues actually land on the steps of the police departments and the sheriff's offices because there's simply nowhere else for those services to be applied. And we are working to try to identify areas where we might be able to be helpful there. Another issue where we have made some progress in your county is with heirs property. And that speaks directly to blight. The Georgia Heirs Property Law Center is a 501c3 nonprofit. Coleman Talley actually has representation on the board of the Georgia Heirs Property Law Center. And what their job is to bring legal services to communities to help identify title issues where you have a piece of property. Oftentimes it's blighted property where there's confusion about who actually owns the property. There's a series of heirs. It's passed down for multiple generations. There could be 40 owners of an acre and a half plot in town. And what the Georgia Heirs Property Law Center can do is to work through title issues, which can then help local land banks get a hold of that property, get it back into serviceable condition, and most importantly for your community, get that property back onto the tax rolls and make it a tax producing property. And again, that's a greater good on the local issue. And we know that's an issue, and we will look for ways to try to be helpful there. And then the last thing that is an informational point for the community, and I will continue to have further conversations with Sumter County and Scott Carver, the county manager. We've had a couple of conversations about the need to make some improvements at the Sumter County Jail. I know the roof is in particularly bad shape. I know that there's some interest in updating some security procedures and some things within the jail structure. That's about a $10 million need, and as those needs are more clearly defined and a plan is put into place, we certainly stand ready to take our direction from the county if they would like for us to get involved in looking for ways to try to get those costs met. Other things that we do for the community, we've been able to plan and execute what we call Sumter County Day at the Georgia State Capitol. We've had 2 of those. Our third one will be January 27th, where we bring a delegation of leaders from Sumter County to the State House. We set up meetings with legislative leadership, certainly with our local delegation, Representative Stinson, Representative Chokus, and Senator Freddie Powell Sims, and their offices are fantastic in helping us facilitate the logistics. And we like to hear from them directly and under the Gold Dome, but also we've had speakers like the Department of Community Affairs Commissioner Christopher Nunn, our Agriculture Commissioner Tyler Harper, the Public Service Commission Chairman Jason Shaw, and many others have come by just to spend some time. Our GDOT leadership comes by. but to spend some time in Atlanta with our community leaders, so that our community leaders can convey firsthand what some of our challenges are, and our state agency heads can communicate directly face to face with our community leaders about what some solutions could be. And I think those visits have been very fruitful. We've also been able to get a couple of resolutions passed, and our local delegation has been helpful with that. That sort of highlights to the rest of the General Assembly what a great place Americus is, and what great things are happening countywide in Sumter County. So we're excited about that. Just to give you a little bit of an overall outlook about the upcoming legislative session, which will begin the second Monday in January. It will be an interesting year simply because it's an election year. I think our local leaders on the call might tell you, when is it not an election year? It feels like we're now in perpetual election cycle. But I will tell you that with a $14.5 billion anticipated budget surplus, how those dollars will be spent will dominate, I think, and this is John's opinion, not necessarily exactly how it will unfold, but looking at it from a few months out, I think that the debate over spending dollars will be critical. We know that the federal government shutdown, which I think is now coming to an end as of last night, but that's had impacts across our state. There's going to be a robust debate about what role, if any, the state of Georgia should play in trying to make up some of those funds. Also, if you don't know, I believe at last count, there are 5 members of the Georgia State Senate that are all running against each other for lieutenant governor. There are a couple of senators who are running against each other for attorney general. And as you might imagine, with that political dynamic in play, it will be very interesting to see how legislation moves through the state Senate in particular. Other issues. Excuse me. Sorry, I got some feedback there. I thought maybe somebody was trying to ask a question. I think that also just be wary that as we move through 2026 into the election, Georgia will be electing a brand new governor, a brand new lieutenant governor, a brand new attorney general, and a brand new secretary of state. And in addition, all of our constitutional officers are up for election. There's a United States Senate race. Senator Ossoff, our senior senator seat, is up for election. He has certainly announced his intention to try to hold that seat. There's some members of the Georgia congressional delegation who are vying for the Republican nomination for that seat. So with all of those political dynamics in play, it will be interesting to see how much legislation at the federal level and at the state level actually moves. But we will certainly, I will be in the Capitol every day once the legislature convenes. Once the federal congressionally directed spending process opens, I think of that as a window. They open the window, you put your request in, then they close the window. That usually happens sometime around February. And part of our job, we have been able to convene a couple of different conference calls, sort of a tutoring session for anybody in Sumter County that would like to join, and we can discuss how you get those forms filled out, the importance of meeting deadlines. Coleman Talley Strategies is certainly happy to facilitate those discussions. And what those types of things have led to, and I'm going to give you just a quick summary of some of the successes. You see it there on the screen of what the greater community has been able to benefit from both our state leadership and our local legislative delegation, as well as our federal leadership and our 2 U.S. senators and Congressman Bishop's office. But they're real dollars that have flown, that have poured into various projects. And we've talked about some of these before, but over the last 2 or 3 years, you see there, $1.6 million came to the Sam Short Line from the state of Georgia, $138,000 in a FEMA grant for the Sumter County Fire Department. National Trust for Historic Preservation money has come to the Campbell Chapel AME Church. That's almost $250,000 there. $850,000 for Friends on a Mission homeless shelter. That's a critical need in the area. And then the Pearlie Brown Music Park has received multiple millions of dollars from the federal level. The Parks Authority's received over $1 million to upgrade parks. The Southwest Georgia Children's Alliance, which didn't actually make my written list there, they received right at $750,000 over the last 2 years, some federal dollars to help their mission. And Representative Stinson was able to secure $90,000 in the state budget a couple of years ago to help with the crosswalk at South Georgia Tech. There on the South Georgia Tech Parkway, where there's a crosswalk, a pedestrian crossing. And so it's no secret that particularly at the federal level, things are pretty tense. We are living under a pretty partisan divided government right now. That tends to not bode very well for community funding projects. Part of our job in my role here is to be completely honest and give you our best thinking. But at the same time, I think it's incumbent upon community organizations and communities to let their senior level elected officials know what their needs are, what their challenges are, and to invite those elected officials to have a role in helping communities solve them. And at Coleman Talley Strategies, we want our role in that to be to convey that information, to leverage our relationships, and to be helpful. And that will just about take care of my part of the program. And I'm certainly staying ready to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, John. We ask for everyone, if you like, please put some questions in the chat. And as we go along, we'll see if we can come back around. And just want to reinforce something. John, you mentioned about the heirs property. We do have a joint collaboration between One Sumter and the America Sumter Land Bank Authority. So if you know anyone in Sumter County that needs support with heirs property, we have free services, legal services, which are very complex and very expensive. Free legal services are being provided. Please contact Ms. Carolyn Brown with the America Sumter Land Bank Authority. At this time, we're heading to our state delegation. So meet our state delegation. We're going first to Representative Patty Stinson. She is House District 150. Representative Stinson. You're on mute.
Mute. Good morning, Sumter County. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone can hear me well.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to being in America's next Thursday on the 20th for a ministerial breakfast. So hopefully I get a chance to see some of you in person on next Thursday. But listen, I am just, excited to be on just to hear about the accomplishments of that's taking place in Sumter County, America's Sumter County, and just to hear about the challenges and just to hear from the people about what we can do to improve the quality of life for everyone in the Sumter County community. And as I was listening to Mr. Crawford earlier, it made me think about a quote from Henry Ford that stated, "Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, working together is success." And that is so important. And I just want to share that with you all because I'm so proud of the work that you are doing there in Sumter County. You're working together, you're creating progress. And from there will be success. And success comes by communicating, and that's what you're doing right now. And you're staying in constant communication with your state delegation, conveying to us what your needs are and what your challenges are. And so we all can work together to make America's the best community, Sumter County, the best community that it could be in this state of Georgia. But as Mr. Crawford mentioned, the Georgia General Assembly's legislative session will convene the second Monday in January. That Sunday before session convenes is a really busy day at the Capitol. We have a worship service that Sunday afternoon, and then later that evening is the Wild Hog Supper. So love to invite some of you up to be a part of all the festivities that take place at the state capitol. I'm looking forward to all of you coming to visit your state capitol while we're in session. And one thing that I definitely ask, if you know that you're going to be coming, and I know you, one Sumter, you've done a great job of this, of notifying my office in advance that you're coming. As I tell constituents, that's your state capitol. You're welcome to come at any time. But if you like to spend some time with me, your state representative, please notify me in advance so I can arrange my schedule to at least be able to come out and greet you and welcome you to the state capitol, and may be able to bring you into the chambers, get a pass and bring you into the chamber, because we are so busy and with committee meetings and other things. So I would like to know in advance that you're coming so I can make some arrangements to spend some time with you. And again, one Sumter, you've done a fabulous job of staying in constant communication with us in advance, and so I appreciate that. And I appreciate as well. Remember, the state delegation consists of 2 members in the House, which Chairman Mike Chokas and myself, and of course our state senator in the Senate, Freddie Powell Sims, who I believe is on this call this morning as well. So that's your state delegation, and so make certain that you are communicating with all members of your state delegation, and make sure that you are hearing from us. Just don't. And I know you don't do this, but it does happen sometimes. Sometimes people just assume that I may know about something, or the other member of the House may know about something, but you have to actually communicate with us to know, so that way that I am aware, that Chairman Chokas is aware, Senator Sims is aware, because you've spoken directly with us. So I would just want to encourage you to continue to do that. I would also like to just share, I'm so glad to know that the shutdown seems to be, coming to a close, especially December 1st being the kickoff date of the sign up for the low income home energy assistance program. So if anyone making any notes, that's the low income home energy assistance program, better known as the LIHEAP. Federally funded program that provide heating assistance to individuals across this country. But in the state of Georgia, the sign up for the program is scheduled to kick off December 1st for the elderly and disabled homebound individuals, and January 2nd for the general public. And so the program is still on point for the sign up, the kickoff on December 1st, and then again January 2nd. The main part that I'm really concerned about, I'm concerned about all of it, but the big part is making sure that these vendors, these gas companies, the EMCs, the power companies, all of them receive their funding in a timely manner. Yes, we want to ensure that families are able to sign up December 1st, but I don't want the power companies to have to wait to 6 months later to receive funding. They should be able to get their funding as soon as much sooner than 6 or 7 months after the sign up period. Because what happens is the individuals, the clients, they are still responsible for paying their heating and their gas bills until that company has received the actual funding from the state, and the state get the money from the federal, and then the state passed money down to the funding down to the local agencies. And so for Sumter County, the agency that serves Sumter County for the low income home energy assistance program is the Macon Bibb Economic Opportunity Council out of Macon, Georgia. Sarita Hill is the executive director. And so Sumter County is in that service area. And she and her team have done a fabulous job working with the clients, with the families. And so I've been helping with that effort as well. And my intent this year is to really work harder to ensure that these power companies, these gas companies, everyone receive their funding, because a lot of them just can't wait very long to get that funding. So you'll be hearing more about that as well. But I know this is after 9 and there's several other people on the agenda to speak as well. So those are just some of the few things that I wanted to share, and that I'm open for any questions. And again, I look forward to being in America's next Thursday for the breakfast. And I'm planning to spend my entire day down in America's. So you may see me. If you don't see me at the breakfast, I may come by your office and say hello. So with that being said, I will pause and just see if there are any questions for me. And I look forward to being back in America's at South Georgia Technical College December 4th for their holiday social. So yes.
Yay. Thank you, Representative Stinson. Appreciate it. Anyone have any questions, let's put them in the chat. And Representative Mike Chokas for House District 151 could not be with us this morning. And so next you will hear from our state senator, Senator Freddie Powell Sims, Senate District 12. Senator Sims.
But Tammy, I do have one quick question. I have a question before we move on.
Sure.
Is there anyone, because Mr. Crawford mentioned earlier about community health initiatives. Is there anyone on the line representing the mental health community, behavioral health community?
Yes, we have the CEO of Middle Flint Health and Wellness, Mrs. Angela Hope. She is on the line.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
Senator Sims, and also just want to do a recognition and thank, I see the chairman, Lorenzo Hurd from Dougherty County Board of Commissioners is with us. Thank you, Chairman Hurd, for joining us today. We love our partnerships with our neighboring communities. Senator Sims.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Senator Sims.
Thank you so much, because I wasn't quite sure. Right now, I'm in Savannah, Georgia, attending the retreat for the Senate Democratic Caucus. So I'm going to be extremely brief, because there are a lot of things moving parts going on here, as well as with you guys. The reason we go to
Senator Sims. Senator Sims, did we lose her?
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Maybe I've hit something. All right, let me say this. The only reason that we have session annually from January through probably the end of March, 1st of April, is those 40 days is to prepare the Georgia state budget. Someone mentioned, and I think it was Mr. Crawford, the amount of surplus that we have in our coffers. The state of Georgia operates with a balanced budget, and that's every year. And we usually have a rainy day fund or a surplus. So just because we have a lot of dollars in our coffers does not mean that those dollars are going to be doled out across the state of Georgia, because we have seen over the decades that those dollars can be used, or mostly there, for emergency purposes, and especially those of us that live in hurricane-prone parts of the state. We know that we've had to take care of farmers, homeowners, storekeepers, and the like. So when you say that there's a surplus, that surplus is there for a purpose. It's just like you run your households. You always have to have a little bit put back for a rainy day. I've listened to what Sumter considers to be their special needs, and I think it's a good list. We're always concerned about what the municipalities need and what their wants are and what their priorities are, because that's what we look for first. As a delegation, we will continue to do the same thing, prioritize those needs and wants that you have. We would also, I did not hear a lot about education, and that's very disturbing sometimes to me. There may be, I don't know if Superintendent Knighton is on or not,
He is,
but
he is
very
on.
good, very good. But you know, it's very difficult to talk about economic expansion, affordable housing, anything without saying we have to have a very strong educational system. Sumter County is very blessed to have a four-year institution, um, and also a technical college that is very strong as well. Please note that without the support of these institutions, economic expansion does not work. And we also have a very strong college and career academy in the county as well. I like the idea of regionalism. A lot of times the counties around uh, us, meaning Americas, are not as strong as the cities and the municipalities that we find within the borders of Sumter County. So you work as a region to get stronger. Years ago, it was more of a competition. But as our cities and towns have shrunk over the years, very little population now. Your tax dollars, they are not nearly as many as there once were. We have learned and are learning to work as a region because it strengthens us, and especially rural Georgia. I'm not going to have a lot to say simply because we're not sure exactly what will happen. The federal government has been in flux for a while now. The shutdown is not necessarily over at all. So we have no idea how it's going to impact the budget for the state of Georgia. We mainly want to take care of those citizens that tend to be the most vulnerable, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's education, or just daily living, trying to make ends meet, and especially the working class poor that so many people tend to forget. They either go from one extreme to the other, the very, very rich, or those that are not working or are not gainfully employed. But those that are caught in the middle that tend to uh, not ask for services, but really, really need them, and especially now with so many of our individuals being furloughed, out of work, and the economy has slowed tremendously. So those are things that we have to be very, very cognizant of. And we also talk about SNAP benefits, but we never talk about who benefits the most from those SNAP benefits. Consumers receive a temporary fix, and usually in SNAPs is food. But those dollars from SNAP never stop moving. The convenience store owners, the grocers, these individuals are very quiet, but they are the ones that also benefit from EBT disbursements. So when we tell the story, we need to tell all of the story. We also know that poverty is almost like a business. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing this, but it is. Sometimes people benefit off the backs of poor people. And we have to understand that and not just say that, oh, these are folks that don't want. Um, there are a lot of people that want EBT cards, that want SNAP benefits to continue. And it's not necessarily those individuals that need to be fed every day. So having said that, most of you have my phone number. It's always available. And happy to see you at the Capitol when you come for Sumter Day. We open our doors, and our doors are open every day of the year, not just during legislative session. So please, if there's any way that I can help, let me know, and I'll be happy to accommodate. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And hopefully you will have the rest of a good day, because I do have to get back to my meeting.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Senator Sims. Thank you so much for stepping away and coming to talk with us. We really appreciate you. We appreciate you also, Representative Stetson, and we will be there, America's Sumter Day at the Capitol on January the 27th. So we're excited. Okay, we're moving to our federal delegation. Representative Stetson, if you can, please put in our chat the contact information for Lahi. Please do that. We appreciate that. Moving to our federal delegation, we're going to start with our Congressman, U.S. Representative Sanford Bishop, and we have Allison Drennan, our own, who lives in Sumter County, field rep, and we also have Christopher Drake, who is the district director, and we are going to Allison and Christopher.
Great. Thank you so much, Tammy. Congressman is on a plane after a late night session last night. I know he would much rather be here for breakfast with all of you, but he did send us some key points to give you for updates. Since January, nutrition program funding has been cut for local food for schools and local food purchasing agreement programs. These programs help schools and food banks feed communities using locally purchased goods. SNAP funding was also cut by 50%, which means millions of families will be able to afford less food to put on the table. And as Senator Sims just explained, means less customers for our local grocery stores and for our agricultural producers. The temporary funding bill that was voted on last night did have some provisions that will help the agricultural industry and rural development, such as it fully funds SNAP and WIC, replenishes the SNAP and WIC contingency funds, and fully funds cash value vouchers for fruit and vegetables for women and children. The bill also helps rural Americans by providing $1 billion in single-family direct home loans and by funding water and wastewater programs at $446 million. And these are programs that are important in our rural communities. The bill also provides $1.85 billion for the Agricultural Research Service and $1.67 billion for the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. So these are this is funding that protects farmers, small businesses, and our families against the President's budget request to eliminate land-grant university research and extension activities across the country. So we know those extension activities are really important to our rural communities. The bill that was passed last night fell short in some areas, and there were some additional troubling provisions that were included in the bill that both Democrats and Republicans opposed, such as the measure to provide over $500,000 payout to senators simply because they were subjected to a lawful subpoena of their phone records. And our neighboring Congressman Austin Scott also spoke against that provision in this bill. Though the government may be reopened, Americans still face a healthcare insurance premium cliff at the end of this year. Georgians will see ACA healthcare premiums increase, in many cases by over $1,000. So this, I've spoken with a number of the insurance agents in Sumter County, and this is really going to affect our local citizens. We do have a promise from the Senate Republican leaders that there will be a vote on those healthcare premiums in December, but there's no guarantee that Republicans will support any effort to restore the measure of the tax credits. And though a Senate vote is promised, there's no guarantee of a vote in the House. Lastly, Mr. Crawford shared with you some information about the community project funding updates. Congressman Bishop did include in his FY26 request 3 projects from Sumter County. There's one from the City of Americus, one from the City of Plains, and one from the Southwest Georgia Children's Alliance. So we are still waiting to see what happens with appropriations from Transportation, Housing and Urban Development, and Commerce, Justice, and Science for those full year appropriation bills. So just some brief updates from us. There's a lot happening last night. We tried to update those talking points quickly this morning, but we're happy to take any questions. I hope you all could hear me. Okay. Tammy, that wraps me up. I don't know if we want to move to the Senate offices.
Tammy, you're unmute.
Well, I see that we have Elise Wolf from Senator Ossoff's office and Adrian Rivers from Senator Warnock's office.
I can go ahead if that makes it easier. Good morning, everyone. My name is Elise Wolf. I work with Senator John Ossoff's office as the Southwest Outreach Coordinator. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here on behalf of him this morning. Tammy, I want to thank you for your hard work putting this together this morning, but also your hard work in Sumter County all the time. On that note, I definitely recognize a lot of faces here on this meeting. I don't recognize everybody, but for those of you I don't recognize, you should know that Sumter County is one of the best, most constantly represented counties of the 42 that I cover for the senator. You have so many people in this county who care very, very deeply about all of your priorities. In fact, when I got the list of priorities, almost nothing on it was a surprise to me whatsoever. And that's such a great thing to have in a community, is so many strong advocates who are bringing this information to legislators at every level. In fact, I think that myself or individuals on my team have met with many of you to kind of cover some of these. I've personally toured the Sumter County Jail and have seen some of the damage to the roof and some of the concerns that they have there. We've worked on healthcare in the county, as well as safety, public safety. I know that the senator delivered funding that helped replace 90 breathing apparatuses for the Sumter County Fire Department, as well as 22 PPE sets. So all that's very important, but none of it is possible without the people on this meeting and the people who constantly and consistently advocate for Sumter County incredibly well. I think it's very important for our rural counties. Of the 42 counties I cover, almost every single one of them is rural. I would say 39 of them are rural, and most of the three that aren't, a good portion of them is as well. And often our rural counties are overlooked and forgotten for our metropolitan areas, and that could be really distressing. But Sumter County doesn't take that sitting down at all, and it brings it themselves to the forefront. And I really, every time I meet with counties who are asking, how do we get better involved, I use Sumter County as an example, because truly the amount of effort and advocacy that goes into receiving these appropriations funds that were mentioned by Mr. Crawford, right? The Pearlie Brown Amphitheater, all of that is only possible because of you. I want to make sure that our office is as contactable as possible. I'm going to drop my information here in the chat. If you don't already have it, please never hesitate to reach out to our office. The senator likes to say there's no problem too small. And though he can't promise, results on everything in this incredibly politically fraught world, as everyone has mentioned, we can always promise effort, and you will get that effort from our office. Thank you, guys. That's it for me.
Good morning. I am Adrian Rivers with Senator Warnock's office. I'm actually filling in for Brenda Williams. This is her area that she covers. Again, thank you guys for the invitation for our office to be a part. Thanks, Tammy, for the invitation. Thank all the organizers of this particular event, and thank you all for being a part of this. I absolutely love Sumter County. I've got some people, some family in there, and have just grown to love the area. Good to see you as well, John Crawford, somebody from Lowndes County, Valdosta representing as well. I think a lot has already been said regarding kind of where we are. We all kind of see where we are with the government shutdown as we are on the other side of it. But being on the other side does not mean the work has ended. Senator Warnock is continuing to fight for those healthcare subsidies, ACA, that you've heard a lot about it. In particular, of course, people over politics, right? And it is making sure, that the 1.2 million Georgians that are going to need these credits are being assisted. We definitely believe that, there are some foundational principles that people need to survive in this world. And healthcare is one of those. And so, that fight is not going to stop for our office. It is going to continue. I did want to take a moment and speak directly to a couple of your legislative agenda items. First and foremost, just applaud you all for just, being advocates for your community, ensuring that there is a legislative agenda, ensuring that you are making sure in this work you don't always see legislative agendas. And so I definitely want to applaud you all for just being so forward, so organized in the way that you want to advocate for the community. Want to speak directly to transportation. Elise knows this as well. Back in 2024, Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock both supported, bipartisan efforts, for transportation, infrastructure law to be exact. And so that was back in 2024. But the residuals of that are still being seen. And there is an ongoing commitment to ensuring, that transportation continues to be advocated for. I do want to kind of talk a little bit about workforce housing. If you've ever known the senator's story, he talks about his upbringings, talks about where he came from, talks about his humble beginnings. And so affordable housing is definitely on our list of things that we want to ensure that everyone has, right? I always speak to Maslow's hierarchy of need, really starts with some very basic fundamental things, and housing is a part of that. And everyone should definitely have the opportunity to have that kind of housing. So he does support some efforts that would simply just make sure that people, he loves to say this quote, and I had to write this down, to live in dignity with a roof over their head, right? That is what we want everyone to have. And so supporting funding that is going to repair homes, working families, and seniors. One of the special committees that Senator Warnock sits on is aging. And so ensuring that our seniors are covered. I think about my grandmother who is in her 80s. And I think about some of the repairs that we're getting for her. Well, she has a supportive family, but everyone doesn't have that level of support. And so the senator really wants to ensure that everyone has that basis of support. I want to kind of move to your community behavioral health programs. Mental health is healthcare is a statement that he makes. Mental health mental health care is healthcare. And so one of the things he's pushing for is bipartisan plans to hire more counselors, support clinics, and expand treatment for substance abuse. There are a couple links and some things that I can send you guys to go more in detail around that. But simply put, making sure that when we identify a problem, that we fund the problem, that we provide the resources for the problem, that we provide the advocacy for the problem. And Senator Warnock is committed to ensuring that we provide that level of support for your community. And so one of the things that we've supported, I see that the Advocacy, Children's Advocacy Center is here. And so we've supported them with CDS requests, recognizing that work is important. They also do work around domestic violence as well. And so, just ensuring, that we're supporting your county with those funds. And John alluded to that earlier, talking about congressional directed spending requests that you guys are able to put in that small window so that we can ensure, though, that we are supporting your work. And lastly, I'll just speak about we're supporting any kind of engagement that you guys would need from us. We're a phone call away. We've done some advocacy around preschool in your area. We've done some advocacy around, we've heard about your jail improvements and what's needed around that. And so we are an advocate for you. The senator is definitely here ensuring that he is looking after the needs of Sumter County. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to our office, and thank you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Rivers and Ms. Wolf. Hey, everyone. My name is Colton Mims. I'm the Director of Donor Relations with One Sumter, and Tammy apologizes. She had some sort of Zoom sabotage happen to her. We really appreciate hearing from you guys in our federal delegation and our state folks before as well. We're getting close to the end of this here, and so I want to introduce one more really, really impactful person from Sumter County to help us close this out. Mr. Carlisle Walton is the CEO of Phoebe Sumter here, and he's also the chairman of our Sumter County Chamber. So, Mr. Carlisle, if you're ready, love for you to close the program out for us.
Thank you, Colton and Elise, on behalf of Senator Warnock and Adrian and everyone who participated, Allison, Congressman Bishop, and Christopher, State Senator Paul Sims, who is back at her meeting, that shared her thoughts with us, State Representative Bentley, and my dear friends, Dr. Leslie Hazel Bussey and Mr. John Crawford, on behalf of the Sumter County Chamber of Commerce, One Sumter, and the attendees at this virtual legislative event. Thank you for your service for our nation and our state, and especially the gift of your time this morning to share with us. We appreciate your representation of our community at the national and state levels, and the willingness of you and your staff to listen and act upon input as you seek to effectively represent us. We extend our continued support as you address the challenges and opportunities involved in serving our nation, our state, and your constituents. May you and your families be blessed as you serve, and the most happy and joyous Thanksgiving season to all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
I'll hand it
Carlisle.
back to you, Colton, and you
Yes,
can
sir.
officially dismiss us.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, everyone. We really, really, really deeply appreciate all of you being here. We've had quite a good turnout. And again, thank you to all our representatives, local elected officials, our state and federal leaders. We can't thank you all enough for spending this hour with us and giving us a really strong rundown. Mr. John Crawford, thank you for all the work that you're doing for us too, and giving us a really detailed update. If anyone has any questions that One Sumter can help them with, Tammy and I's email is very easily found online. Feel free to reach out to us anytime as well, and we're happy to help. Hope you guys have a really great day, and thank you again for coming.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.